Hi, my name is Anais Ruiz, and the class that I will be going over today is my GEOS 170A1 Earth from Birth to Death, and the assignment that I completed was my first exam for the class. While this class is a general education elective, I did find it to be incredibly interesting and challenging for myself. So those are two of the main reasons why I decided to pick this for my performance evaluation assignment. So the grade that I earned on my exam was a 115%, which I am incredibly proud of due to it being one of the highest scores that I have ever achieved on a test before. The highest score that was possible on the exam was a 120% out of 100% due to the extra credit that was given on the day of the test and the days prior of it as well. I am incredibly satisfied with this grade because it was much higher than I had originally anticipated. For example, throughout the exam, I knew that there were a couple of questions that I would miss, so I was expecting a grade somewhere in the 90% range. Not only am I satisfied though with that original grade because it was pretty good, I am also proud of those points that I received with extra credit as well, due to it showing that I was not only prepared for the exam, but I was also prepared prior to the exam as well. I do believe that my grade reflects accurately on the amount of time and effort that I put into the assignment. For example, I had studied rigorously for this exam and I had made sure to go over all of my materials that we had gone over in class, and I would also quiz myself with the online assignments that were given to us, and I would go over and review what I had missed in order to gain that new information that I had previously not known about. I also prepared for this exam in other types of ways, other than the one that I had previously just said right now. I also read over my notes, and I would complete notes that were incompleted previously, and I would also highlight and underline information that I found to be important. I also went over the in-class activities that we did in class to review and quiz myself over the information there. I also went to the review session that the professor and the TAs provided a couple of days before the exam to not only review that information, but to also ask any questions that I had and to also go over any information that I thought would be important to know. I did study for about a week in advance of this exam. I did this in order to have enough time to go over all of the materials that would be on the exam and have a clear and correct understanding of it all. I also did this just in order to have time to go to office hours and ask my professor and the TAs any questions that I may have been confused by. I did not create a study plan for this test, however, and instead I just went over information that I thought was confusing. I also would just review all of the material that I did feel comfortable with. I did feel prepared when I was completing this exam. While I stumbled a little bit on some questions, I felt incredibly prepared and knowledgeable over a large majority, and I did this by making sure that I had all of the answers correct on the paper part of the exam and that all of the answers lined up to the answers on the clicker as well in that portion of the test. I also completed all of the assignments and homeworks needed before the day of the exam, not only to have those grades correct and filled, but to also use that as a review and a study session as well. While I did have a majority of the information needed for the test, there was a little bit that I did not know. For example, I focused a majority of my studying towards the environmental and geographical material and did not focus that much on the specific names of scientists and researchers who created that information. I did blank out for a little bit throughout the exam, as I'm sure many other students can relate to. However, I did make sure to go back through all of the questions and correct what I found to be incorrect. I do believe I submitted my best work due to this being the highest grade on an exam I have ever achieved in my academic career, and I smiled when I got my grade back. And while this may not be the best thing, I just put the test on the back of my head and I took a mental break for the rest of the day. I believe that I can make improvements by making sure to study everything that seems important, even if it does not seem like it directly corresponds with the material. And some specific actions or behaviors that I need to change is my sleep schedule. While I previously would get a full night of sleep in the past, I have noticed that I have recently been letting my sleep schedule become irregular. This can not only affect my grades, but it can also affect my health, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. As a result, I do believe that this is something that I need to focus on and change soon.